I didn't believe in monsters until I ran from one. I wasn't hiking for thrills, or chasing cryptids, or filming some cursed forest expedition for views. I was just trying to get away from noise, from people, from my life. The Grand Canyon, that had always called to me, not for its danger, but its silence. It was late October. Tourists were thinning out. The air was sharp with desert cold. I planned a solo loop starting from the south rim, down through the Tanner Trail, steep, barely marked, and exactly the kind of off-grid route I needed. I packed light, thermal gear, a solar lamp, 2 knives, a flare, and a journal. No gun, no satellite beacon. I thought I was smart, careful, prepared. The first day was uneventful. No cell service, no human voices, just red rock, endless sky, and the crunch of my boots echoing into the canyon's bones. That night, I made camp near a rock overhang, ate jerky, wrote about how peaceful it felt to be completely alone. I even noted in my journal, haven't seen a single animal all day, not even a squirrel. Weird. I should have realized it then. The second day, something changed. It wasn't the wind, it was what the wind carried. The scent hit me around mile 12. Sharp, wild, not dead like rotting meat, but wrong like blood mixed with heat and pine. I brushed it off. Probably a mountain lion, I thought, maybe a fox den nearby. I kept walking. Then came the tracks. Paw prints, huge, bigger than a bear's, but too narrow, clawed. The spacing was off too, like whatever left them wasn't lumbering, but sprinting, low to the ground, precise. That night, I couldn't sleep. The wind howled once around 1 a.m., but something else answered, low, guttural, and close. Too close. I lit my flare early. Just nerves, I told myself. Just coyotes. But I kept my knife out, and I didn't write in my journal again. If you've ever heard a sound you can't explain, drop a comment, because I think this one wasn't meant for human ears. The sun hit the canyon walls like a crime scene spotlight. Stark, exposing everything red and raw. I didn't pack up right away. Slept badly, eyes open. Dreamt of growls and scratching and whispers that weren't wind. But when morning came, I convinced myself it was all in my head. That's the funny thing about being out there alone. You stop trusting what's real, even your fear. I left the overhang and hiked northeast. The plan was to reach a dry creek bed by dusk. I had enough water for one more night and a solar battery that barely charged. But I wasn't worried about supplies anymore. I was worried about shadows. Halfway through that day, I found the carcass. At first I thought it was a deer. The smell hit before the sight meat cooked too fast, like it had been cauterized mid-slaughter. What was left didn't make sense. Spine twisted, ribs clean, and the head gone, not chewed off, just gone. No paw prints around it, just drag marks and what looked like a single trail of deep impressions in the red dirt. Bipedal, but heavy, too wide for a human, too narrow for a bear. I took a photo with my phone even though it was dead, just muscle memory. I didn't look at the body again, I just kept walking. By dusk, the canyon felt narrower. The echo of my footsteps came back faster, like the rocks were listening. I camped under a flat shelf near a dry spring, built a fire. Small, smokeless, ate in silence. Then came the second howl. This one didn't rise like a coyote's wail, it dropped, like the sound fell out of the sky and crashed into the dirt beside me. It was close, not miles close, 100 yards close. Then I saw the scratch marks, 5 gouges across the stone face behind my fire. Deep, fresh, parallel claw length. Human, forearm. I didn't sleep that night, and I didn't move either. I just sat by that fire until the sun crawled back up and told me I wasn't dead. Would you keep going after that? Would you trust your own eyes, or your instincts? Day 3 broke me. I hadn't eaten in almost 30 hours. My hands were shaking. My water was low. My compass spun, and the map in my head, the one I'd trusted for years, suddenly didn't match what I was seeing. The landmarks were wrong. That boulder should have been on the left, that sun-bleached log. It had claw marks now. I kept thinking, did I walk in a circle? But my feet hurt in new places. Muscles ached like I'd climbed vertical, but I hadn't. Not yet. And then I realized. I didn't feel the cold anymore. The temperature had dropped. My breath fogged the air. But I was sweating, burning up. At noon, I collapsed under a spiny juniper, slept for maybe an hour. Dreamt of running not from something, as something. Every step was silent. Every scent was color. I tasted fear like salt on my tongue. Not mine, someone else's. I woke up with blood on my shirt. Nosebleed. I thought, maybe a cut. But when I looked down, the blood wasn't mine. It was animal. Thick. Viscous. Darker than it should have been. And I didn't remember how it got there. Then came the smell. Not rot. Not death. It was musk, feral and primal and wrong. Like wet dog fur soaked in iron. The scent clung to me like guilt. Like it knew me. I started running. Didn't know where. Didn't care. Somewhere in the scramble I tore my palm on shale. Deep cut. I watched the blood drip and I swear it shimmered. Not in the light. In the shadow. That's when I noticed the hair on my arms had thickened. Darkened. By dusk. My ears were ringing. Not from altitude. Not from panic. From something calling. It didn't say my name. it said. My shape. Some secrets claw their way back out. If this one hit you, share it, before it finds someone else. I didn't plan to end up in the wash. The terrain forced me down rock slide above, thorns at both flanks, and the canyon seemed to want me funneled in. I've read about predator traps in nature, wolves steering elk toward dead ends. This felt like that, but the prey was me, and the shepherd was something older than hunger. Then I found the wall. It was buried behind creeping vines, but erosion had exposed just enough. A panel of rock, reddish, almost alive-looking, carved with symbols, not native, not modern. Something between sharp curves, crescent loops, spiral claws. One of them shimmered faintly. I touched it. It burned, only for a second, but long enough to see something behind my eyelids. A flash, a memory not my own. A pack, silver-gray fur streaked with red, standing guard at the canyon rim, watching something inside it howl. Then it was gone. But the glyph remained, and beneath it, freshly scraped into the stone, a phrase. The moon binds, the blood breaks. And I realized I hadn't trespassed. I'd disrupted something. This wasn't just wilderness. It was warded. I wasn't being hunted. I was being corrected. Would you betray one to save many? Drop a glyph emoji if you'd run. Comment if you'd stay. I don't know what I expected after the glyph. Maybe silence. Maybe some cinematic omen, like a raven scream or a gust of wind. But I got the snap of bone. Not mine, at least. Not yet. The sound echoed above me, close enough to bounce between canyon walls. Then another, a crunch. Wet. I started backing up slowly, like they tell you with cougars. But this wasn't a cat, and I wasn't sure it cared for etiquette. Then I saw her. At first I thought it was just another shadow in the maze of moonlit ridges. But then she moved, and I realized the shadow wasn't cast by her. It was her, 9 feet tall, maybe more, pale sinewed limbs, tufts of fur like smoke bursting from muscle, a muzzle that still bled from something she'd just killed, eyes like burned amber. She stepped down into the gully and I ran. No shame in it. I wasn't going to fight a canyon cryptid with a trekking pole and optimism. I bolted left, scrambled over boulders, slammed my shoulder against a rock face trying to climb, but she was always behind me. Not sprinting, not lunging, just stalking, like she knew I'd run out of ground eventually. And I did. Dead end, a curved wall of red rock, nothing but lichen and a single twisted tree branch jutting from the stone. I turned, chest heaving, face slick. She stood just 30 feet away. That's when I noticed it. Her claws weren't all flesh. One of them shimmered like silver, and that's when the real dread set in. This wasn't just an animal. She had killed something with silver, and taken it into her own body. She'd adapted. This was vengeance, not just for territory, but for every bullet, every trap, every cursed tale ever passed down in whispers. And I was the stand-in for humanity. If you've heard the howl, subscribe. You're already marked. She didn't chase me. She herded me to the graveyard carved into the canyon. I didn't scream. Some instinct, some ancient fragment in the Moreau knew that screaming was for prey. Instead, I reached for the only thing I had. The stone. The glyph one. The one that burned me. It had fallen into my jacket pocket. Maybe during the climb. Maybe when the glyph seared itself into my palm like a brand. I held it up. She stopped. Not fear. Not reverence. More like recognition. That's when I realized I wasn't just a trespasser. I wasn't just a mark. I was a key. The glyph, the blood, the stone. It wasn't just for seeing the past. It was for ending it. The beast stepped closer, her breath visible in the moonlight fog curling in serpent shapes. I backed into the wall and slid to my knees. My body had nothing left but shivers. Then I whispered out loud, like it was a spell I'd always known. The moon binds, the blood breaks, the glyph flared. So did she. Her body convulsed, not from pain but from memory. Muscles contorted. Silver claws scraped the canyon floor like a spark-throwing blade. And for a moment I swear I saw her as she once was. A woman warrior, warden of this canyon. Then the curse reclaimed her, but it hesitated, and in that pause I moved. I pressed the stone into her chest and everything went white. I woke up hours later, or maybe it was minutes. Time doesn't exist right after a scream leaves your body and doesn't come back. She was gone, so was the glyph. But on the canyon wall, above where I'd been pinned, a single mark remained new, fresh, and mine. It glowed faintly, like the moon, before it turns red. One howl, one chance. Will he make the right choice? Comment what you would have done. She paused, because I remembered what she forgot, who she used to be. I didn't talk about it when I got back, not to the ranger who helped me down the trail, not to the old man at the motel with the fox skull above the register, and definitely not to the couple who asked if I'd seen the sunrise from the south rim. No one talks about what it cost to survive, but I'll tell you this, I wasn't the same, not because I fought a werewolf but because she let me go. And that means one of two things. Either I wasn't worth the kill, or I was meant to carry something back. The glyph still shows up in my dreams. New forms, new meanings. Sometimes it's in blood, sometimes it's carved into canyon walls that don't exist, and sometimes it's branded into the mirror. I haven't returned to the Grand Canyon, but last week I got a message, anonymous email, no subject, just a photo, Tourist snapshot, moon overhead, canyon wall, flash, flare from a phone camera, and right there, in the corner of the frame, the same sigil, fresh, glowing, cracked, waiting. Like, share, and subscribe, because next time the howl may come for your street. Comment if you've seen that mark before. Some of us carry a tand we don't even know. The mark didn't vanish, it followed me home, and for those who hunger for more, step deeper into the shadows with our ultimate werewolf horror playlist linked in the description below. In the world of horror, the scariest things happen when you least expect them, and trust me, you don't want to be left in the dark. Welcome to the darkness.